The PGA Tour just dropped a bombshell ahead of the BMW Championship, and fans are absolutely stunned, face screaming in fear, flag in hole. The 2026 BMW Championship is already shaping up to be one of the most consequential events of the season. With only 50 players remaining in the FedEx Cup playoffs, the stakes couldn't be higher. 20 players will see their seasons end on Sunday. But the real news? The PGA Tour has made a major change that has everyone talking. A huge format change. For the first time in tournament history, the PGA Tour has introduced a brand new twist to one of the BMW Championship's most beloved traditions. Players who record a hole-in-one on the par 3/16 will now choose their prize in advance, either the all-new BMW X5 or the all-electric BMW 9/3. That's right. Instead of a single designated vehicle, each player will select their preferred car before the tournament begins, knowing that if they ace the 16th, they'll drive home in whichever car they picked. For the first time, the 9/3 will finally get picked on its own merits instead of riding along as the electric alternative nobody asked for. A milestone year. The change comes as BMW marks its 20th year as title sponsor of the event, a partnership that has produced a record 6 PGA Tour Tournament of the Year awards and raised over $63 million for the Evans Scholars Foundation. The BMW Championship returns to Bellerive Country Club in St. Louis for the first time since 2008. The course has undergone a massive renovation since then, with all greens redone and the layout stretching to 7,448 yards, a 124-yard increase from 2008. The no-cut format means all 50 players will play 4 rounds, but only the top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings will advance to the Tour Championship. For the 20 players on the bubble, this week is a career-defining moment. Ricky Fowler enters the week at number 30, the final cutoff spot to advance. Qualifying for the Tour Championship secures a spot in next year's majors and a 2-year PGA Tour exemption. Scottie Scheffler, meanwhile, is already a mathematical lock to finish number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings, guaranteeing him a $22 million bonus. So what's really happening with the BMW Championship? Why is this year's event so different and so high stakes? Buckle up, because the BMW Championship just got a whole lot more interesting. The BMW Championship has always been known for its hole-in-one tradition. A car for an ace on the par 3/16 has been a fixture of the tournament for years. But for 2026, the PGA Tour has introduced a game-changing twist. The new rule. Players will now select their preferred hole-in-one prize in advance, choosing between the all-new BMW X5 and the all-electric BMW 9/3. If a player records a hole-in-one on the designated par 3/16 hole during tournament play, they will drive home in whichever vehicle they selected ahead of time. Why the change? The change means the 9/3 finally gets picked on its own merits instead of riding along as the electric alternative nobody asked for. It's a minor rule change, but it adds a new layer of strategy and excitement to one of the tournament's most iconic moments. The vehicles. The X5 on display at Bellerive comes out of BMW's Spartanburg, South Carolina plant, the same plant that has built every X5 since the model launched. The 9/3 represents BMW's commitment to electrification and sustainability. The history. The hole-in-one car has been a fixture of the tournament for years, but 2026 changes how it works. Players who have aces on the 16th are now part of a unique tradition that combines golf, luxury, and choice. The BMW Championship marks BMW's 20th year as title sponsor of the PGA Tour's penultimate FedEx Cup playoff event. The record. Since BMW signed on in 2007, the BMW Championship has been named PGA Tour Tournament of the Year a record 6 times. No other event on the schedule can claim that record. The philanthropy. More than $63 million has gone to the Evans Scholars Foundation since BMW became title sponsor, funding more than 4,300 full tuition scholarships for caddies. That figure grows every time a player makes an ace during tournament week, since each hole-in-one triggers an additional scholarship credited to the golfer who made the shot. This year's honoree is Jalila Tabaka, whose scholarship traces back to Akshay Bhatia's hole-in-one at last year's event. The commitment. BMW's title sponsorship expires after the 2027 tournament, though it's widely expected that the automaker will renew its deal and be part of the PGA Tour schedule for the long run. The BMW Championship returns to Bellerive Country Club in St. Louis for the first time since 2008. The history. Bellerive was granted the PGA Championship's centennial in 2018, a tournament that delivered one of the most memorable finishes in major championship history. Brooks Koepka emerged the victor, but the week might be most remembered for Tiger Woods, who shot a final round 64, his best final round in a major, to finish at 14 under 266. Woods was chasing history, but Koepka made history of his own with a 66 on Sunday, finishing at 16 under 264. It was Woods' closest call at a major championship in a decade. The course today. The Bellerive we see today is far from the version first laid out when the club was incorporated in 1897. The course was redesigned by Robert Trent Jones, the famed golf architect known as the Open Doctor. Long and brutish, Bellerive is equipped with large, deep bunkers, penal water hazards, and thick rough. It was designed to embody one of Jones' guiding philosophies. Golf course design should yield a hard par, but an easy bogey. The renovation. Bellerive underwent an expansive renovation since Brooks Koepka lifted the Wanamaker Trophy in 2018. The work required about 22 months to complete, with Rhys Jones spearheading a redo of all greens. The course now tips at 7,448 yards, an increase of 124 yards from the 2008 BMW Championship. The greens are prepped to touch 12.5 feet on the Stimpmeter. The challenge. Bellerive has only 2 par 5s, meaning players cannot rely on 4 obvious scoring opportunities to repair the damage from loose drives or imprecise iron shots. Its length, demanding green complexes, and collection of substantial par 4s place a premium on controlling the golf ball from tee to green. The BMW Championship is the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. With only 50 players remaining in the field, the stakes couldn't be higher. The cut. There is no traditional 36-hole cut at the BMW Championship. All 50 players who qualified for Bellerive are scheduled to play 4 rounds. Once the final putt drops Sunday, however, only the top 30 in the FedEx Cup standings will move on to the Tour Championship. 20 seasons end. That means 20 players will see their FedEx Cup runs end in St. Louis. The FedEx Cup field will be reduced from 50 players to the final 30. The rewards. Making the Tour Championship offers its own set of rewards. Entry into all 4 majors in 2027. A 2-year PGA Tour exemption. A chance to compete for the $10 million winner's share at East Lake. The bubble. Ricky Fowler enters the week at number 30, the final cutoff spot to advance. He's the bubble boy of the tournament, with everything on the line. The pressure. There will be no Friday cut to provide an early escape and no weekend reset that erases the first 36 holes. Every player gets 4 rounds. Every player has time to recover. But by Sunday afternoon, 20 of them will still be finished. For the 30 players who advance to the Tour Championship, a massive payday awaits. The purse. The Tour Championship features a $40 million purse, the largest on the PGA Tour. The winner takes home $10 million. The format. For the second consecutive postseason, the finale will look much like those tournaments before it, changing from a staggered start to a conventional stroke play event without any starting strokes. The Tour Championship will welcome the top 30 finishers from the regular season and the first 2 tournaments of the postseason to East Lake Golf Club. The bonus pool. The PGA Tour will distribute a $100 million bonus pool after the BMW Championship, since every player in the field in Atlanta will start at the same starting point, even par. Scheffler's lock. Scottie Scheffler is already a mathematical lock to be number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings after the BMW Championship, guaranteeing him a $22 million bonus. He's chasing his first FedEx Cup title and a massive payday. The legacy. The BMW Championship returns to Bellerive for the first time since 2008, and the timing lines up with a milestone for the title sponsor. This is BMW's 20th year backing the PGA Tour's penultimate FedEx Cup playoff event. The BMW Championship has been named PGA Tour Tournament of the Year a record 6 times, and the event has raised more than $63 million for the Evans Scholars Foundation.